the truth might be far darker than it seems. And the question we have to ask ourselves is, who is really controlling the chaos and why? Tommy and Cami's story isn't just about two people in conflict. It's a story about timing, choices, and the invisible threads that connect everyone around them. From the very first season, their relationship had moments of trust, but also cracks that no one fully understood. Tommy has always been a man of strategy, quick to think ahead, careful about what he reveals, but also impulsive when it comes to people he cares about. Cami, on the other hand, is smart, strong-willed, and has a way of seeing people's weaknesses, though she rarely lets anyone know the full extent of her insight. In seasons 1 and 2, they built an uneasy alliance, sometimes friends, sometimes rivals, with their interactions always carrying the weight of unspoken history. Every shared mission, every fight they had, and every secret kept between them laid a foundation that could either strengthen their bond or tear it apart. What's interesting, and what makes the theory of a planned war so compelling, is the subtle patterns in their behavior. There are moments when they argue, yet their words seem scripted, almost as if they're following a script written by someone else. It's not just about the fights themselves, but the timing, the location, and the consequences that always seem to benefit a third party. Even when they believe they are acting freely, making choices based solely on personal emotion or strategy, the results often push them closer to an all-out conflict. Looking back, there were countless small moments that fans might have overlooked, glances shared during tense meetings, words left unsaid in crucial conversations, or interactions with secondary characters that subtly nudged them toward confrontation. Some of these moments seem insignificant, but when seen in sequence, they create a clear trail, almost like breadcrumbs leading to the inevitable war. Tommy may think he is protecting his interests, and Cami may believe she is asserting her independence, but both are walking into a game where the rules were set long ago. What's more, their past experiences with other players in LANDMAN show a pattern of manipulation and control that rarely goes unnoticed. Characters around them, whether allies or foes, often act in ways that steer Tommy and Cami into particular choices, almost as if every interaction is part of a larger chessboard. Even the most spontaneous-seeming decisions often have consequences that align perfectly with the outcome someone else wants. The question isn't whether Tommy and Cami are capable of conflict. They clearly are, but whether the timing and escalation of their feud is truly theirs or orchestrated. Looking at their past relationships, the moments where trust was broken or where misunderstandings spiraled into larger issues, now seem suspiciously convenient. Each season seems to build toward a crescendo, and season 3, in particular, has events that feel less like natural progression and more like the pieces of a plan falling into place. It's as if every argument, every disagreement, every small betrayal was designed to push them further apart, weakening their alliance and making them vulnerable. And if that's true, then the war we see between Tommy and Cami isn't a coincidence. It's the result of someone pulling strings behind the scenes. Someone who understands both of them deeply and knows exactly how to make them clash. The idea that a war could be planned doesn't diminish their choices. It makes every decision, every confrontation, every subtle action carry double weight. Suddenly, scenes that seem straightforward take on new meaning. A heated conversation in the middle of a hallway, a decision to ignore a warning, or even a simple glance exchanged with another character. All of it could be part of a carefully crafted narrative designed to escalate tensions and bring Tommy and Cami to the breaking point. The stakes are no longer just personal. They become part of a larger story, one that hints at manipulation, control, and a bigger game at play that neither Tommy nor Cami fully understands. As we dive deeper into the theory, it becomes clear that to understand their war, we have to look at the bigger picture, not just the fights themselves, but everything that led up to them, everything that set the stage for what appears to be a spontaneous feud. and everything that points towards someone orchestrating the chaos with precision and purpose. When you start looking closely at Season 3, small details that once seemed coincidental begin to paint a very different picture. Every argument between Tommy and Cami isn't just about personal disagreements. There are patterns in their behavior that suggest someone else is steering the outcome. For example, some of the situations that lead to confrontations happen at the exact right moment to trigger maximum tension, almost like someone knew exactly how to push them to their limits. There are times when Cami reacts in ways that seem uncharacteristically extreme, as if she's been provoked into overreacting, while Tommy makes choices that seem impulsive, but actually fit perfectly into a larger sequence of events that escalate the conflict. Certain secondary characters show up at critical moments with information, rumors, or warnings that influence both of them, yet the timing is suspicious. A casual comment, a chance encounter, or even a misinterpreted message often leads directly to a major argument. These moments aren't random, they are strategically placed to drive the two into a collision course. Another strong clue lies in their shared history. If we trace back the decisions they've made, many spontaneous moves actually mirror patterns that appeared in earlier seasons. Events that should have been unpredictable seem to follow a sequence, almost like a carefully drawn map. The locations of their confrontations also seem deliberate. Critical arguments rarely happen in safe or neutral spaces, they happen where distractions, witnesses, or environmental factors amplify the emotional intensity, making reconciliation more difficult and conflict more likely. Even the way they communicate offers hints. Misunderstandings that escalate into fights often stem from partial information, intercepted messages, or subtle manipulation of what they each think the other knows. For instance, a single word taken out of context or a carefully timed lie can spark hours-long tension. When looking at these moments collectively, a pattern emerges that's hard to ignore. The war between Tommy and Cami seems to follow a script, and the script benefits someone else. What's even more interesting is the way they themselves seem to be unaware of the larger picture. Each thinks they are reacting naturally, making independent decisions, but every choice pushes them further toward conflict. It's like two chess pieces being guided without knowing the player controlling the board. The escalation of their fights is gradual yet precise, with small arguments snowballing into major confrontations exactly when the story or the unseen manipulator needs them to. There are moments where outside influences almost disappear from view, making it appear as if the characters are acting entirely on instinct. But if you pause and trace the events leading to that moment, you can see the invisible hand guiding the sequence. Every argument, betrayal, and alliance shift seems designed to test their limits, to make them doubt each other, and to weaken the possibility of reconciliation until the war feels inevitable. Fans have also noticed certain inconsistencies that, on the surface, seem like plot holes, but under this theory, make perfect sense. Why would Tommy ignore a warning that could prevent conflict? Why does Cami make choices that seem counterproductive to her own goals? The answer may not be poor writing, it could be intentional, a reflection of the planning behind their war. Even subtle gestures, glances, pauses, or hesitations can be clues when you watch closely, suggesting that they are reacting not only to each other, but to pressures placed on them from outside forces. When all these pieces are combined, the timing, the provocations, the manipulated misunderstandings, and the sequence of events, it creates a compelling argument that the war wasn't just a product of personal feelings. It seems orchestrated. Someone or something set the stage in such a way that Tommy and Cami's choices would naturally lead to conflict, making their personal war a key part of a bigger, more complex plan. And the more you study the episodes, the more it becomes clear that these coincidences are anything but random. They are evidence, pieces of a puzzle that hint at manipulation, strategy, and careful orchestration designed to push to strong, intelligent characters into a war that benefits someone else entirely. When you piece together all the patterns, manipulations, and perfectly timed confrontations, a bigger picture begins to emerge, one that goes far beyond Tommy and Cami simply clashing over personal differences. The theory is that the war we see unfolding in Season 3 isn't spontaneous, it was planned by someone who understands both of them better than they understand themselves. This mastermind is likely someone who has studied their strengths, weaknesses, and emotional triggers, someone who can predict their reactions almost perfectly. The theory suggests that every small disagreement, every heated conversation, and every tense moment is part of a chain.